Hello and welcome to the 48th episode of Growing Up Geek, the weekly podcast for geek entertainment and nostalgia. My name is Brad and I am joined by my brother Rob.
Boobastis!
Ho! How you doing, man?
Ho! I'm doing fine. How are you?
I feel like we always have to start with like an energetic shriek or something.
You need something of that just to get you through the day sometimes, man.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's been getting darker and darker as winter approaches and with the whole daylight savings things. And I seriously feel like it's, midnight right now, but it's only like the show at like 7:30, so geez.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been out to any stores lately, but like stores have already said screw you to Thanksgiving. Like it is Christmas time according to Walmart.
Absolutely.
We actually went out and bought a tree last night, which when I was a bachelor, that wouldn't happen until maybe the day before Christmas. Now, being married, you get that stuff early. So
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna pull my tree out soon and set that up just to put some light into this gloomy winter.
It is kind of gloomy, but how realistic is your fake tree?
It's pretty real. It's got like bendy leaves and everything like that, so it can hold together pretty well. And the lights are built in, so no need to wrap them around.
That's perfect. We got the same thing. Built-in lights. It's like, ooh, built-in lights.
Yeah.
It's so like anti the spirit, but
exactly.
Like. It saves time, and in this day and age, at my age, that's appropriate. So,
absolutely.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into some geek news.
Yep.
Let's get our geek on every week.
Geek and get on. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just losing my mind.
Losing your mind. Every week, we read hundreds of news stories.
Sure we do.
Well, I do, okay? I have my Google Reader going, and, of all those, we like to bring you our favorites. And so I will start with you, Rob.
Yep.
What was your favorite geek news story this week?
I was excited to see that there are brand new Watchmen posters.
Indeed.
One poster per major character. So you're going to be going to the theaters and just seeing the whole place just covered. Because you got one for Rorschach, for Night Owl, for Ozymandias, for Dr. Manhattan, for the comedian, and for Silk Spectre. Yeah. And they all look awesome.
Yeah, what's your favorite one?
You know what I gotta say is my favorite? I mean, obviously Rorschach is always cool, but the one for Ozymandias.
Oh, you like it? Doesn't it have him with the mask, kind of?
Yeah, he has the mask on. He's in his full garb.
Because you don't see him with the mask in the trailer, so I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, it's an interesting look. It's pretty cool. But I gotta say, what excites me most is that in the background of the poster is Boobastis.
Yes, I've been wondering if they're gonna do that. That's his tiger sort of creature.
It's a gigantic lynx or something that has been genetically modified. But
do you think that's gonna be like CG or like?
It looks CG. It looks kind of like Aslan with huge ears. But I'm excited to see that thing finally, because it wasn't in the trailer.
Right.
Also, Dr. Manhattan in his tux.
Yeah.
Which is a cool looking sight.
That was cool. Finally putting clothes on.
Exactly.
And speaking of special effects that were in the trailer, I don't know if you saw. I was just telling Matt about this, but I don't know if you saw what they're dubbing Lower Manhattan, which is Dr. Manhattan's genitals in the trailer, like in the trailer.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought it was a clever pun, but it's like if you read Watchmen, he's naked like 80% of that comic book.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, how are they going to do that in the movie? They're going to do it. I mean, the trailer actually, they had to blur it once they realized, but it's still out there, and he's full frontal. It's like, okay, that's there. So Lower Manhattan, watch for it next year, I guess. This is coming out.
Yeah, March 6th.
Oh, yeah. Right on the ball there. Perfect. Very professional.
So, and, look for these posters. Each one has a cool quote to accommodate the guys, show off some gadgetry and all sorts of cool things to just, answer some questions. It looks so faithful to what the comic book had. I know. Psyched.
Well, that's the thing is, like, it's hard to please some of these Watchmen nerds, and I mean, granted, it's a great comic, and it's got a lot of heritage behind it, but everything that I've seen in the trailer is from the comic. So it's like, it's almost like they're bending over backwards to prove to the community that, look, there's nothing in this movie like that's not from the comic, at least from what I've seen. I know there's been some talk about editing the ending, and I don't want to spoil anything, but of course, if you've read that ending, it's kind of hard to do. But, overall, I think they're really going for pleasing the fans.
They better be. All right, well, I mean, that was my favorite news story, and definitely an exciting one. So, Brad, what was your favorite news story of the week?
Well, I'm going to say that probably Gears of War 2 coming out was the biggest thing for me this week. I actually can give a mini review. Normally we offer our impressions, but I've actually played the whole game and co-op as well. So this would actually be a review.
Nice.
Which is to say, there's a lot of people gushing over this game, 5-starring it and giving it all 10s.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be sort of the contrary voice here for a second. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that so was Gears of War 1. So, you still shoot locusts. Jack still rips doors. You still get behind slabs of asphalt and shoot at things. And there's some standout moments that definitely weren't in the previous game, that rise above the sort of just rehash. But I had this feeling after I played it, like, this is sort of not quite a different enough game for me to say 5-star, you know what I mean? Or 10 out of 10. It's a good sequel, but it's almost like saying it's still good, if that makes any sense.
Right. I mean, it's more the same, but it's not bad at all. Yeah.
Right, it's not bad, and that's the thing is, like, initially the publicity for this game was, like, bigger, better, and more bad A****, and it's like, okay, when I see that, like, on a movie poster or something, I always get worried. Because, like The Matrix, the sequel had way more Agent Smiths, but to me that's like the safe route. And I think Gears of War feels like somewhat of a safe sequel. Mm-hmm. Like when the original game dropped, it was like a bomb dropping. A lot of people said it like fell out of the future. And for the sequel, I just expect PlayStation 4, Xbox 1080 or whatever, dropping once again like a bomb, like, holy crap, look how amazing it is. Similar to like a Half-Life 2 or something, where it's just, oh my god, is that ever better? And instead it's kind of, minor improvements. But, I'd say it's worth renting and checking out. I know you said that you were definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, so far I like what I see. I haven't played Gears 1 in a while, and what I've heard is that if you go back and play Gears 1 after playing Gears 2, that it really does make an impression, and you will see a difference in just kind of the improvements that have been put into place here. And I guess for most people, just, advancing the plot and giving them more action is probably enough to warrant, a sequel and to purchase this thing. And I've heard, like the co-op multiplayer stuff can be fun.
Yeah, I had the most polite multiplayer experience. Probably a historic event for Xbox Live is concerned, because a friend of mine and a friend of his got on, and he introduced me to him. He's like, okay, this is my friend, and we sort of digitally shook hands. It was like, well, this is odd meeting somebody this way. Mm-hmm. But rather than like talking about each other's mothers, we were like, oh, so, is your wife pregnant and expecting? Oh, wow, is this your first child? Oh, get down! It was pretty funny. Because, we were just exchanging pleasantries, while lobbing grenades, Oh, is it going to be a boy or a girl? Frag out! So fun was had, but that's why I like co-op, is because, of the friendly element of it, rather than the whole, getting your butt kicked by strangers, which, oh, God, is that uncomfortable for me. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure that on a checklist of things that you would want in a game, getting your butt kicked by strangers would probably be pretty low.
Yeah.
Just as far as life experiences go.
It is. For me, anyway. Some people thrive on that, on dominating, and everything. But, God, no, I don't need any of that in my life. No thank you, sir. But that's my mini review there.
Sweet.
And looking forward to Mirror's Edge. I wasn't able to rent it today, but I'm going to try to rent that. And there's plenty more games on the horizon here.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, I tried out the Mirror's Edge demo. I thought it was pretty sweet.
So are you still looking forward to anything big, or was Fallout really the end-all for you?
Fallout is kind of the big end for me, just because it's going to take up so much time to play. And, I mean, I would love to maybe buy one of these other games. Just, you need to mix it up every once in a while. I mean, I still am crazy about Rock Band 2, which contrasts really well with something like Fallout 3.
Right. I keep hearing that the ultimate experience is to have the Guitar Hero World Tour drum set with Rock Band 2.
Huh.
That's what I'm hearing. Like the best drums with the best game.
I'll check it out, definitely, and maybe even one day have the little fog box
Oh
going.
man, yeah, I've seen that thing.
Sweet.
That's hardcore. I have a funny story for you. This weekend we got Amber's family over, like aunts, uncles, grandma, and everything, and we were playing Rock Band. And I forgot that her grandma actually is missing her middle finger. Like she had like a shop accident a long time ago, and her finger stops at the knuckle. So we gave her the guitar, and then I look over and I realize there's just a stump where the yellow button is, and she's like, well, that's okay. And she flipped it over, and she played it lefty, and I was like, way to go, Grandma. Much like Def Leppard overcame his, well, I suppose his name wasn't Def Leppard.
I love how it's his. It's like one guy named Def Leppard.
He overcame his hearing loss and also his one-armedness to become, no, but yeah, if they did it, she can do it too. So that was pretty cool. Also, funny moment, playing We've Got the Beat with no beat.
Nice.
Her uncle, needless to say, is not a drummer. But anyway, so there's a lot more we're looking forward to. We got to stop talking about Rock Band, maybe at some point. Or maybe we'll just continue. And
it's an ongoing experience, and I think that's why I love it.
So that was Geek News for this week. We will move on now to our main topic of discussion, and that is a comic book called Fear Agent. This is one that I've been hearing about for so long, and I was excited Rob and I finally got our chance to read the first trade paperback. Fear Agent is published by Darkhorse Comics. It is written by Rick Remender and illustrated by Tony Moore.
Yeah.
If I could describe Fear Agent, I would probably do it by just describing the cover. It's a science fiction story, and you got this spaceman with a spacesuit on. He's got a ray gun, and he's got tentacles coming out, and he's holding this woman who's also wearing a space helmet. But if you look down at his belt, there is a giant Texas belt buckle. Fear Agent is about Heath Houston, who is a, quote, fear agent, which is a task force that eliminates alien threats. And he is from Texas. He has a southern accent and everything. And his wife and son were killed in an invasion on Earth. And so he's alone with his bottle of booze. And the AI of his ship, which is a female AI with a woman's voice and everything, he's got a sarcastic wit.
Yeah.
And that is the setup of Fear Agent. That is Heath Houston.
Right.
So Rob, what did you think of Fear Agent?
Well described there.
Thank you.
Fear Agent is great. Let me just read for you, and flying close to vulgarity here, but Patton Oswalt has a quote on the back.
Right, sure.
King of Queens. Speaking about Rick Remender likes his fanciful space adventures, booze-soaked, big-breasted, and bestubbled, which is how they are in real life.
Yeah, I like that quote.
It just shows that it's a very kind of masculine, old 60s sci-fi, tentacle aliens coming at a space cowboy with his ray gun.
Yeah.
However, I gotta say, this is really more than that. It's a serious piece of science fiction.
Yeah, I was going to say, it reminded me of some of the other great space westerns, which I guess we got to just say now is apparently totally awesome. Cowboy Bebop, Firefly, this. Trigun. Yeah, exactly. It's like whoever first was like, you know what? Cowboys in space, man. And somebody else was like, heck yeah. We got to give them credit because this formula works,
It really does.
And Heath Houston reminds me of like Ash.
Spike Spiegel.
Yeah, he's got that, wit. He's got the thing that you'd want to say, Like in Army of Darkness when Ash, there's a witch laying on the ground who's who's facing the camera and she's really alive, but they think she's dead, and they reach out to touch her. Ash grabs that person's arm and goes, "It's a trick. Get an axe." Love that scene because it's what you would say, and likewise I think that Heath Houston a lot of times is saying the thing you would kind of hope.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you're using a lot of just cinematic terms with this book, which probably shows how much it captures your imagination, like voiceovers or he speaks with an accent. Obviously you're just reading it, but it really comes to life in the writing of Rick Remender. And just in the expressiveness of the illustrations in this book. I did really like how a lot of it is done kind of with internal monologue that the hero is portraying as he goes through everything. So you kind of have the, oops, big mistake moment.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of, he'll admit whenever there's a problem.
Yeah.
Or he, overshot something,
Yeah, he'll always kind of do that sort of thing, and that he's like, my big break is probably right around this corner. nope, it isn't.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
and,
that humor, but like you said, it also can be serious,
Yeah, I love how each issue is introducing new aliens, new sort of problems. Thing after thing is just so weird or creative,
Yeah, I was going to say, Rick Remender, he changes up the weirdness quite a bit. It's a tentacle alien here, then it's snow Sasquatches here, and I think that's kind of cool, the sort of serialized, this week, the tentacled thing, and people will be like, oh god, that looks great. And there really aren't comics like that anymore. Everything's like, okay, Superman number 300 million, It's awesome to see, like, this issue, he battles the bug people, I think that's cool. I will also mention that Rick Remender knows how to endanger his hero. Dang, the last page in this book.
Yeah, I would actually say the last page of every issue, subsequently throughout the book, he leaves you with some great cliffhangers that just make you cry out for the next issue. You're just like, I want to read more. I want to know more. I want to know what happens.
A lot of times, that's what they say. It's best to read in trades. If you crave it, and then you can just turn the page and continue. I actually thought that this would read really great in issues too. Because you'd have that different story every time. And at least in these first 4, there wasn't a whole lot of connection. I think there is a story arc developing. But, there was also just something random each issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely going to be checking out a few more issues of this thing. It's a great read, and I think if you like anything about science fiction, you'll get hooked, and you'll probably want more, just as I want more right now.
There you go. I would say a character we totally omitted so far is Mara, which is a girl that he meets, this girl on the cover, who's kind of like the strong female character, which, a lot of times is like a cliche these days, but in this book, it works great because he's such a, supercharged up masculine dude that you almost need somebody like that, or else they'll just get trampled,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% into these characters yet, but, obviously we've only started, so hoping that they'll become more likable as it goes on, but, definitely there is potential here, and like you said, the writing. I don't know if you noticed on the one bathroom stall that he runs into, it's scribbled on the wall. It says, Rick Remender is a gender bender.
I did notice that.
I thought that was great. But so that is Fear Agent. It's good to read a comic again,
Yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it. I mean, normally whenever I read it, I end up reading it on the toilet.
Hey, no shame there.
But it's a good place to end, and I end up spending more time in there just, like, getting enveloped into the story, and then eventually people are just like, I need to use the bathroom too, and I'm just like, but there's zombies and aliens.
Yeah.
But,
well, I guess that's the thing. You can do your new rating system based on numbness of legs. So that is...
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So before we close out our show, every week we like to end with a little nostalgia and reminisce about growing up geek. This week, I've been playing all these games. We were talking about all these games we've been playing, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there are so many games now using these timed button presses.
Right.
Gears of War actually did it in the sequel. Mercenaries does it. Mirror's Edge has some parts like that. And I think all of these games really owe a lot to the original game that did that, a game called Dragon's Lair. You were a knight and you had to roam through these castle walls and things, and suddenly a snake would come out and then you would have to dodge to the left really quick. You have limited time to press this button. And that got me thinking how much I miss a Mr. Donald Virgil Bluth, who was the creator of Dragon's Lair and of Space Ace. And has made a ton of great animated films that we really liked as kids, but have kind of gone away. And, I'm talking about American Tail, Land Before Time, Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
Then, moving into even the 90s stuff like Rockadoodle, which we, I think is where we kind of got off the boat. But I just wanted to kind of throw a tribute out to this guy, who his ideas are being copped even today.
All right. Shout out to Tom Bluth. He always would just have a lot of lights and sparks, and
True.
I don't know if it was computer animation or he just had techniques to make that stuff come alive. You could always tell a Don Bluth film by the level of explosions and lighting and just special effects. Especially Space Ace had a good amount of that stuff going on, and the fact that he contributed in a way to the world of video games, it really shows his prowess.
Yeah, I mean, everything had a polish to it. you know, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think Disney got a real run for their money at that point. You know, like in the 90s, he started to kind of peter out, and then, you know, eventually kind of got back on the horse with like Anastasia, Titan AE he produced. But, you know, he never kind of reclaimed that glory that he had in the 80s, and all those movies, one after another, were pretty good hits. I mean, I have to say, Land Before Time, probably one of my favorite on there. It had to be censored because it dealt with the death of the dinosaurs', you know, parents, the adult dinosaurs. They were killed, and, you know, he carried those mature themes. Secret of Nim, which deals with NIMH, you know, like an actual research company, and all of that. Gosh, the character designs and everything they're in my mind, and, you know, when I watch them still, I'm like, wow, it still holds up pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I would say for anybody who hasn't played Dragon's Lair or Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp, and,
was that any good? I can't even remember.
I don't think we ever tried it out. I mean, you would always go to the video arcades and see this amazing cartoon playing in a cabinet, and you ask yourself, how on earth do I play it? And probably where it fell to the wayside was it didn't make itself very obvious how you played it.
Right. Oh, God. And it was pretty brutal.
Oh, this box has lit up, so I guess I have to push the joystick towards it.
Yeah.
Over and over, watching the guy get crushed under the ceiling or whatever. And there's some gruesome deaths in that game, you know.
Yeah.
And he'd always just make it like, ha, 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 ha. And it'd be like, you've died. And then...
Yeah.
On the worst systems, you'd have to, you know, endure a load time.
On Sega CD, yeah, which we had Dragon's Lair. I think we had Space Ace, too.
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I had to hear, there's Borf's ship, Kimmy, close main gate, before I got to the first thing where I had to do something, would fail, and then I'd have to go back, load that, there's Borf's ship, Kimmy, close main gate.
Yeah.
And just like
that phrase, like exactly as you said it, like truncated down to just that phrase, is like burned into our minds now from all the amount of times we had to see Borf's ship. You know.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to honor the man. You know, certainly those games were difficult, but did you have a favorite film of his?
Feifel Goes West, which is American Tail 2. Just had such a sense of humor to it. Superb animation. Before the age of computers and stuff taking over.
Well, that's the thing. It's the sequel, too. And if I remember it, which has been so long, it felt like just as good, if not better, than the original.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think it did surpass it. And sure, it didn't give us Somewhere Out There like the first one did.
And maybe that's to its credit. I don't know. Yeah.
But it really, that movie's a delight to watch. If you have kids, pick it up, pop it in there. And dine on some mouse burgers.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
You know, I looked, and they're not treated as nicely as Disney movies are for DVD release and everything. But, you know, if I do have kids, I will hope to certainly show them The Land Before Time and some of those great ones. Great stuff in there. But anyway, that is some geek memories. So if you have any Don Bluth favorite films from when you were young or you grew up geek like us, let us know in our comments section on our website, which is growing-up-geek.com. I think that's going to do it for our show this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Once again, I am Brad.
Rick Remender's a gender bender.
And we'll see you next week.